Marissa Fox joins us via telephone this morning. Marissa, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Where are you located this morning?
So I am located in my remote office in Glenville, West Virginia.
Glenville, West Virginia. Okay. What do you do in Glenville, West Virginia, Marissa?
So I am a program manager for the Girl Scouts of Black Diamond Council, which actually we're centrally located out of Charleston. But since we cover so much of a geographic area, many of our employees are like me, and we are remote. So what I do is I plan and implement, recruit volunteers with the Girl Scouts to help me plan and implement programming for our Girl Scouts in the 65 counties. That include a little bit of Maryland, some of Virginia, a little bit of Ohio, and most of West Virginia.
And what is your connection and what got you involved with the Rosie the Riveter movement?
When I was a volunteer troop leader to start, I started that in 2013, and a few years after I started as a volunteer troop leader, I got a phone call from whomever probably was in my role in the Black Diamond Council at the time, saying Ann Montague and the American Rosie movement was looking for a Girl Scout troop to help with planting of the American dogwood in a nursery nearby in our service unit. And so my Girl Scouts at the time were very happy to help, and doing that video with the nursery there in Flatwoods and Ann Montague and several Rosies on how to plant the dogwood tree sort of got the ball rolling on our relationship with the American Rosie movement and the Girl Scouts of Black Diamond.
And now tell me the connection with Gilmer County High School.
Well, so I live here in Glenville, here in Gilmer County, and my Girl Scouts, which includes two of my daughters, who one's now a senior and one's now a freshman, but we started back when they were brownies. My oldest was a brownie, and we wanted to have a Rosie the Riveter classroom, and we thought with all of the partnerships that we've had with the Girl Scouts in Gilmer County High School would be the great place to start, with these girls who already had experience with interacting with Rosie the Riveters, complete awareness of the work that they had done during World War II and the sacrifices that they had made, and already embraced the teamwork ethic that the Rosie the Riveters embodied and shared with others. And so that's how we got started with Gilmer County High School as the Rosie the Riveter classroom.
Yeah, the Rosie room. So
yes.
There's a Ring a Bell for Rosies that is an annual event. What is your daughter Kendra's connection to that?
Well, we did the video on how to plant the dogwood, and then it was decided that we needed to actually plant a dogwood. So we went to Upshur County High School, and it was pouring the rain down that day. The weather was terrible. The girls are tough. The girls can do it, but we had a Rosie there named Bobby Lamb, who was from the area, and we did not want her out in the rain. So Mr. Bill Bonnet was there, and he had his a bell to ring. So on that day, instead of bringing everyone out for the ceremonious planting of the dogwood tree, we decided that we would just ring the bell as the tree was being planted to sort of signify that we had worked together to accomplish our mission here.
Very nice.
And so then Kendra has her picture taken as a little brownie and as the one ringing the bell. After the event ended, it was sort of decided that ringing the bell to celebrate the culmination of effort to do these events and to do these activities was actually a really good symbol for for the Rosies, and so that sort of got the ball rolling on a Ring a Bell for Rosie event. And so Kendra did get to be the first Girl Scout to ring a bell for Rosie. And that was something that the troop decided it was going to be something they wanted to try to work and promote and share and get other troops, Girl Scout troops and other people in the community and communities eventually around the world began participating in Ring the Bell for Rosie events.
Well, that's pretty neat. You guys invented it, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I mean, it's a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that, Kendra gets a lot of attention for being in that picture, ringing the bell. But we always want to be very clear that no one person, no one small group is entirely responsible for anything. It's always a team effort, and it's always something that we want to be very inclusive. So they do like to brush their shoulders off, and then we do have the West Virginia State Rosie the Riveter Bell here in Glenville, and the girls are very proud of that too because, Kendra was a Brownie, which is your second, third grade Girl Scout at the time, but the troop she was in as juniors, which is your fourth and fifth grade Girl Scouts, they have the Bronze Award, which is the highest award a junior Girl Scout can earn. And they work together with folks in their community, with Ruby Coberly, who was our Glenville local Rosie the Riveter. And she had donated this bell, and with Ruby's son, Gary. And we have now, as part of their bronze, the West Virginia State Rosie the Riveter Bell in the city of Glenville, which is where the Rosie Ring a Bell for Rosie's events kind of took off from. Mm-hmm. So that's very special for them.
Yeah, I'd say so. Bill Stubblefield.
Yeah, good morning, Marissa. Bill Stubblefield. Let's talk trees for just a second. The dogwood is a tree that we associate with the Rosie the Riveter movement, at least we do in the States. Is the dogwood dogwood also associated with the international Rosie movement?
I think that's part of what our efforts are, to associate the dogwood with the Rosie movement, because it's a very hardy tree. It can be used for a lot of things, and it can withstand a lot.
Okay. Do you have any idea at all the number of trees that have been planted internationally for Rosie the Riveter movement?
Oh, that I do not know.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious. I was not really familiar with the dogwood and the Rosie movement until Rob has introduced all of us to the Rosie movement. And but I'd be curious to know how many dogwoods have been planted. That'd be a nice number to know.
And in how many countries?
And how many countries? Well,
yeah, I know the Netherlands. There's a strong tie-in there.
Yeah. With their museum for freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. John Gilstrap.
The Rosie movement. Is it a celebration of the women who went to work in the factories during the Second World War? Is that what the movement?
Started off, yes, the movement is a celebration of the Rosies, the women who did the work, and the minorities. There were other minorities who maybe weren't women that normally wouldn't be working at that time, but we had a gap that needed to be filled, and they were all people who said, we can do it, as the motto goes. They all filled that gap. Now our Rosies are aging. There are not many left. And while we still want to celebrate those women and those minorities and those folks who stepped up to do the work, we also want to keep in mind that we need to keep the mentality that the Rosies had moving forward, the teamwork and the stepping up and doing what's needed to be done, and with little expectation of a reward. So many of them are just now getting the celebration, right? We met many Rosies throughout the decade that we were a part of this program who did not even know they were Rosies.
Right.
Actually, Ruby, who donated the bell for the West Virginia State Bell in Glenville, did not even realize she was a Rosie.
Oh, my.
She just knew we were doing this activity with the bells and wanted to contribute. And then when hearing her story, we were like, well, you are a Rosie the Riveter. So that made that experience, that much more special. But so they never did get the recognition at the time, and they didn't expect it. So it is nice to be able to celebrate them. And then also, part of that celebration is also carrying forward with what they were trying to do.
You forwarded some pictures of the Scouts themselves, and there are a lot of teens, young teens, preteens. And, of course, the Rosie the Riveter was quite some time ago. That was my parents' generation, and I am not what we would call a young man. So I'm curious, is there a larger historical context that is being taught to these youngsters about the time in which this was happening? And I'm curious, is it hard to make it resonate, which would be 3 generations after the fact?
Right. Well, there is a lot of historical context because we're teaching about World War II. So this was the time frame. This is what's going on. Also talk about the Rosies. We talk about the Victory Gardens, and that's a lot of the things that we are working on now with the Girl Scouts of Black Diamond, sharing about food preservation and growing our own produce and how those things are good for the environment, but it's also helpful to us, as individuals, living in a time where food insecurity is an issue in general. But so it's trying to tie it all in so it's relevant, but also making sure that we're historically accurate, true. And then, if they get to actually meet the women who did the work. We have a Girl Scout in Black Diamond Council now who's working on her Girl Scout Gold Award, which is the highest award a Girl Scout can earn. She's a high schooler, and she was also part of the group who worked on the Rosie the Riveter Belle, England Belle, as part of her bronze. And her gold is writing a children's book about the Rosie the Riveters so that she can take it to school and talk to the kids in school about who the Rosies were and what it was, why them going to work was such a big deal at the time. Because when you talk about historical context, women going to work was a big deal. And, many of our kids now, both parents in the home work, and so it's so they don't quite understand why a woman went to work. Why was that a big deal? And so sharing that historical context, and also again the attitude of this was teamwork. They were stepping up when they were needed, even though maybe it might have been hard, it might have been difficult. They had to learn some things. But they were filling in that gap.
By the way, this date, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, guaranteeing women's suffrage, women's right to vote. And that's you mentioned about women in the workforce in 1944. It was only 24 years earlier where they had the right to vote. So this all kind of fits in with the Girl Scouts getting involved within Marissa. It's all a nice, tidy theme, so to speak.
Yes.
Bill?
There's another
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Marissa.
Go ahead, Marissa. Yes,
no, I was just going to say, a lot of the things that we share with our Girl Scouts, with our badge work, is aligned with the Rosie movement, and so I feel like it's a natural partnership.
Yes.
Yeah, we think of the Rosie movement as you've just described, filling in the work need during the Second World War. Certainly that was the case in the U.S. and also in Great Britain, England. But when we interviewed the Rosie the Riveter at the Museum of Freedom in Belgium, there was another dimension that I was not aware of, and that were women that was involved with the resistance movement, and which to me was a significant involvement, more so than what we think of in the States and England.
Yes. Probably so.
Yeah, because again, I had not realized there was a resistant element until we talked to the lady from the belt. From
Marissa,
Belgium.
are there many Girl Scout troops around the country that are involved in the Rosie movement?
So right now, I know we actively involve many troops in the Black Diamond. And then I do know that the last Ring the Bell for Rosie, we have participation across the country.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. My mom was born in 1930, although till her dying day she said it was 1932. It was 1930. And during the war, she grew up outside of Atlantic City, in Pleasantville, New Jersey, an egregiously misnamed town. And in Atlantic City was the amputee center for the European theater. So all of the boardwalk was turned into one big hospital. And her contribution to the war effort, it seems tawdry now, and it was not tawdry then, was to be a smiling face for the boys who were returning from Europe as they were coming off of the hospital ships. Her job for the war effort was to be there and to hold their hand and to just help them come ashore. So I think what's hard for people to understand is that it was an entire nation at war. It wasn't soldiers at war. Every family had somebody, most families had somebody who was in theater, and those who were not in theater had, the entire nation was contributing to the war effort at the time. It's an interesting period.
Marissa,
Definitely.
Yeah, final thoughts are yours, and it can be about anything that you got coming up or any reactions some of the scouts in your troop have had regarding everything you're doing there.
Well, we do have Labor Day coming up, which is typically when we celebrate the Ring a Bell for Rosie. So if any organizations, Girl Scout troops in your area are interested in doing that, there is no, we can provide a format. We can provide, but it's really just each community is different. So if all we just try to do is ring bells at noon in Unity, wherever you may be. When we tried to do that in Glenville, I think last year we ended up having folks just do it at home. And then, share their photos and their videos and things. And that's something that people can organize. And then they can send those videos to team at AmericanRosieMovement.org, and that crew can put them on their website and share them with the World Wide Web.
Yeah, Anne is really quite an amazing person. She is.
She's a mover.
Yeah, she's a force of nature, I think you could safely say. Yeah, especially everything that she's accomplished with a lot of help for this Rosie movement. Marissa, it was great to meet you today. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the work that you're doing there and with the young people and getting them involved. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.